Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Sam Dever Podcast, episode 31. In this episode, I speak with storyteller Sara Gabriella. Sara and I connected several years ago, and we've remained connected on social media ever since. And she's always putting out good vibes, always posting really deep, philosophical, spiritual posts. So it was a real treat to have her on this podcast, and we had an amazing conversation. In the book of the episode, I'm going to go with the Bhagavad Gita. And this translation is actually by, I'm going to mispronounce the name, I apologize, Eknath Iswaran. It's really, really good. I mean, the Bhagavad Gita, even from just a non-religious point of view, just a spiritual, philosophical point of view, it's such a great story, lots of insights, lots of things that you can take and apply to your own life, and it will really make you think of things. And I recommend it. I recommend a lot of people check it out. That's the Bhagavad Gita. There's several translations. And again, this translation by Eknath Iswaran, it's a really good one. He does a really good job of writing chapters before each section to really explain it and give you an idea of what you're reading. So really excited for you to hear this conversation. Without further ado, here's my conversation with Sara. Sara Gabriella, welcome to the Sam Dever Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be seeing you again. It's been a while.
It's been a long while. Yeah, no, I'm so glad. But that's the beauty of social media, right? Like, I feel like you put out some good vibes. You put out some good, like, you put out a lot of good posts just about growth, spirituality, self-improvement and stuff. So I'm happy I've been able to connect with you in that way, at least.
No, for sure. Well, thank you for saying that. Yeah, I just kind of, put out like what resonates with me. And I think that's the way, like-minded people, tend to attract one another and stay in contact. And yeah, so hey, to me, like, that's the best use of social media.
Yeah, and speaking of social media, it's funny because, like, I feel like all these people I've connected with social media in the past, like, it was like, yeah, social media all the way, baby. And that now, like, 10 years later, however long, it's like, oh yeah, I don't think it's such a good thing anymore. Do you have a take on social media these days, or an opinion? Really?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. My take is it's like anything. It's neutral. It's how you use it that makes it either, beneficial or or not. And so I'm very intentional with my social media use. And I feel kind of like, your vibe attracts your tribe. And so I put out there what resonates with me. And I don't worry about trying to, appeal to everybody or, anything like that. Because anybody that doesn't resonate with my message, I feel like then I'm not supposed to be, in the same vibration as them anyways. So, see ya and good luck. But I feel like if you do use it intentionally, you can come across with some amazing people, and it has definitely worked that way for me. And it's allowed me to keep in touch with people that geographically we may have no longer been in the same place, like me and you, right? So we met when we were both having to be living in Vegas. Neither one of us has lived in Vegas for a long time, but it's that resonance of the message and that vibe that has like kept us connected. And I think there's something valuable to that.
I completely agree, and I really liked what you said, how it's neutral, and it really is up to you how you're, because you choose what to post, you choose what you see, and what comes into your feed and stuff. So yeah, it's like fire. It can cook your food or it can burn you alive.
I mean, I think like, living, intentionally just across the board, not like, just with social media, but like across the board is like one of the most important things you can do, yeah, have intention behind who, you have in your news feed, who you have in your life, what you give your attention to, and on a daily basis, like just if you're not going to be intentional, at least be aware. Because it's easy to just give that all away, give away your attention, give away your time mindlessly. And man, that's the most valuable thing you got. Be intentional about it, baby.
No, I'm glad. I mean, I haven't really thought, because I've been all about awareness lately, but it's intention's one thing I really haven't thought as much about. You're right. Like, how many things do we just go autopilot and just let take us along, and as opposed to us actually setting an intention out with it?
Yeah. Speaking of social media, so my my bio is unconventional, intentional, and oh gosh, I don't even remember what the other one is. Intentional, unconventional, and multidimensional. Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely one of my core things.
What set you on this path of, self improvement, growth, more of a spiritual outlook, maybe on life, maybe not in a religious sense, but just, a consciousness rather? Was there like a tipping point for you, or a certain point that got you or opened you up to this type of thinking? Have you always been this way?
I think that the inner world is something that I've always been interested in, and had a curiosity to, and had a sense of value connected, to the inner world. But there are definitely things that have helped, grow that. And one is, a meditation practice. Has definitely helped grow that, and then spiritual community, has definitely helped grow that. And but I think most of it has began with a curiosity, a curiosity about something bigger than myself. Why am I here? What am I here for? What is, the world, and what does it all mean? And, and so, I think, I have a big respect for curiosity because I think that, it is really, the catalyst for a lot of expansion in life, is when you're just curious. I don't know. And not to, come off as judgmental, but, when people aren't curious, about the questions of life, I almost feel sad, and again, maybe that's, just me projecting, my own priorities onto somebody else, but I've always had that curiosity. What it's all about, what's the deeper meaning.
Yeah, I talked to someone on the podcast once. It's everyone just like accepts things that they're told on so many things, and there's some things correct, of course, but there's some things I feel like critical thinking and things like that aren't even considered anymore. Like it's like you just accept whatever's told to you. And I'm like, man, do we even know what this is? Like, yeah, okay, you've set up this society with jobs and education and governments and all this, but is that it though? Is that how it's supposed to go? Like,
it's funny because where I have seen, so I have definitely, always had this curiosity, right? That I have a very curious mind, and that, has definitely, always led me to, want to like dig deeper. And so whether that's dig deeper in, spirituality, whether that's dig deeper in human psychology, whatever it is, I was like, let me get, I want to kind of dig in there. But like above and beyond that, I think that, a big, transformation in my, spiritual, thinking has become, really my coming back to this kind of like knowing that we have all the answers we seek are inside, within, and that, we may, we get to a certain point, especially at the beginning of our spiritual journey, and we're looking for these gurus and we're looking for these answers, and we're like, oh, who can lead us to there? And, who can, help us, get to the point where, we can discover truth, and, we can kind of, it's really external focused, right? And I feel that, and actually I feel that, the most gifted healers and teachers will always bring you back to yourself anyways, but yeah, I think, that's the kind of the point to where I've kind of, come to, is where it's like, you may not know everything, but you have to trust that what you do know is the best for you. And and I feel like, kind of like, as a collective, it's a shift too, that we're all feeling, that a lot of us are really seeing, okay, it's time to stop, with all the readings and the, and the reaching out to, the tarot cards and the this and the that, and all of the, not to say that those tools haven't had their place, and haven't been helpful, but it's really getting to a point where, I think, as a collective, we're really being called to be like, hey, tap in. Like, there's nobody else, that knows what's best for you than you. They may be, and you may have your, your favorite teacher, and they may have, a lot of like really great techniques. Awesome. But process that through your filter of what works for you and what doesn't, because not everything that works for them is also the best for you. You're your own unique person. Like, that's like the whole reason you're here, right? You're your own unique, you have your own unique perspective, you have your own unique gifts. Like, you're not here, like, none of us is more important than anyone else, but each of one of us is unique. And so if I'm here, it's because what I have to offer comes through Sara. So why do I want to try to be somebody else? That is negating the whole reason I'm incarnated here as Sara. I'm incarnated here as Sara because Sara's got something to say that nobody else can say. And it's not better or worse. So, Sam's here to say what Sam can say and nobody else can say. And he should be saying it. He shouldn't be a mouthpiece repeating what somebody else is saying, because that negates the whole reason he's here. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Wow, that was amazing. That's the promo clip right there. I love that. Yeah, it's going back to the meditation. I can't tell you how many times, and even as of late, recently in my life, I go to that now, like, because your head, it's like, look, it's good to like think about things and be analytical in certain situations, but at the end of the day, what's the gut say? What's the heart say? And really, to get to that, you got to go to that place of just clearing it all out. What rises to the surface.
Yeah, I think that's the trick of anxiety, right? That's anxiety. Right. That's anxiety's, hold on us, is that it keeps us in our brain and it keeps us from dropping into our heart. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was going to bring up something, and I don't want to say it out of context or butcher what you said, but I was talking to you one time on the phone a long time ago, and I think it had to do in terms of artistic projects and artistic seeking. And you gave me the term like chasing the Holy Grail. And I'm telling you, I've never forgotten that. And to put a little more context to what that actually means, it's like, I still feel like I'm Indiana Jones chasing some things that I just can't let go, so I don't know. I brought that up out of nowhere, but I wanted to get that in because I always appreciated you saying that, because I feel like as an artist or as a creative person, and look, you know, that's the thing about this dimension, right? You have to quote unquote survive in it some way, somehow. But like to still hang on to some of those things on maybe why you were put here, and chasing that thing. Like, man, if there's one thing that I could do and not care about how much work it takes or how much time I spend on it, it's that holy grail thing. So thank you for that. I just wanted to.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Yeah, yeah, that brings back some memories.
Yeah, well, and shifting, so you're a writer,
Yeah.
right? And could you tell us a little bit about your writing? Storyteller.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about your storytelling?
Yeah, sure. I've been doing it for a long time, and it's looked, different depending on whether I've done it from the media, whether I've done it from, entertainment, like TV and video games, whether I've done it for global brands like Walmart and Wells Fargo. I've done it for a very long time, but I'm not ready to retire. And right now, what I'm really excited about, what my new frontier is, in storytelling. I told you I have a curious mind. I'm always like, I'm always into something, but is VR in the metaverse.
Whoa.
Yeah, and so I am, now, helping build, the metaverse, which is really exciting, as a storyteller, because I kind of feel it's the next frontier of storytelling. And, it's got a lot of very powerful capabilities because the way your brain processes experiences when you are in virtual reality, excuse me, is not the same as they process, when you're reading a page in a book or, watching, a movie on a screen passively. When you're in VR, your brain actually processes that via autobiographical memory. So that means like you're actually there in the experience yourself. So, just the, capability and the power that has, for storytelling, for creating empathy, for, really being able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, for really getting, being able to get people, out of their head, as we were saying, and into their heart, all of these things, is really exciting. So it's just me here, trying to that's kind of the next for me, right now, the evolution of how I can use my storytelling gifts, and bringing that back around to spirituality. Storytelling has really been something that, from a very young age, that I have, that was very obvious to me as a gift. This was something that I, had a very natural, talent for, a very easy way to tap into, that flow, that divine creativity. I've always had that connection. And for me, the best way to honor and show, gratitude for my gifts is to share them, right? I always feel like anything that you share is amplified. And so, right now, the new, world, or the new evolution of, storytelling for me, is really in the metaverse, and I'm really excited. That's what I'm getting to do now.
Well, that's really cool. And I have to bring this up as far as the VR goes, because I'll be honest, like I've had some talks with some people, like the whole metaverse thing. It's kind of intimidating in a little bit. Meaning like, well, you said something that I didn't think of with that. So I'll start with something positive about that. It's like, yeah, it could help create empathy by literally I never thought of that. I never thought that you could maybe go through some exercises or programs through that would maybe give you a better idea, at least, of what it's like to go through something. So that's interesting. Very interesting you said that.
I think that goes back to exactly what, we were just discussing about social media, about how the technology itself is neutral. It's how you use it.
Well, and back to, and also what you said with intention, right? Because I think some of us, when we hear metaverse and what's happening, in our minds, we're going to be like in a room, like for 24 hours with the VR headset on, strapped to a chair. But again, that's taking it too far, right? Where if like, hey, I'm going to go in this for an hour, 30 minutes, whatever it is, for an intentional experience, that now I look at it completely differently when you put it like that.
Yeah. And it's, once we, geography is kind of, broken down and, through things like, virtual reality, that the way people are going to connect and build community is going to really be around shared interest, right? Because right now, for a lot of people, things are, geography. You end up being at, after work on a Friday for a happy hour at the corner bar, of your neighborhood or of your street. So it's based on geography, right? And then as geography is broken down, and we end up being able to connect to people that much further beyond our street or our neighborhood and stuff, it's not going to be physical proximity. It's going to be shared interests. And so that's pretty powerful. If your shared interests are things like spirituality, or things like creating a better environment, or things like whatever, growing your own food, and pesticide free, or whatever your deal is, whatever the thing that you geek out about is, and then you're going to be able to form community based on that. And and it's kind of it's a deeper form in a lot of ways of connecting with people, because it's not just based on something as arbitrary as zip code. But it's really based on something as deep as like value. Maybe you're going to be able to connect with other people that are really into rescue animals and that kind of thing. Khaleesi, come here. It's your cue, honey, to join the combo.
Yeah, your dog's adorable, by the way. I would love for your dog
to call my dog into the picture. But yeah, so again, it's it has a lot of the potential there, to really build meaningful connections, and meaningful community is there. It doesn't have to be this kind of view of somebody in this like dark dingy lonely room trying to escape their humanity. It can really be a way for humans to make one-on-one connection on a deep level.
Yeah, I think I follow and you paint a way better picture of what I was imagining it as. And like, so correct me if I'm wrong, but like, for example, if someone was really into a certain type of cooking, they could put on a VR class, and people from all over could put on the VR and be there in the cooking class, like something like that, like connecting people in that type of way.
Well, yeah, I mean, it could be, it could be all of that. It could be, you and, some of your, good friends from, college, or some of your, good friends from, the, I don't, your seeing mammal, wildlife, rescue, group or whatever, getting together, and whether it's in VR on the big screen app, coming together and watching a movie all together, and you're seeing it, there, as you're all popping popcorn in your own living room, but you're all there, together. And maybe you guys, don't have the capacity to do that, because you guys maybe are all spread out now, or there's lives, and people get families, and so on and so forth. But you're able to actually be there together and experience that together. Or it's different. I mean, I've had things of fathers or mothers that share custody, and maybe they don't get to see their child or their children as much as they may want to, but they make a date in VR to go see a movie, or to play a certain game, or to show up at a bowling alley, and bowl a few rounds. And for them, that's like meaningful quality time spent together that they wouldn't ordinarily get. It's all about intention. Sure, you can go on to VR. I mean, here's another case. Somebody that, and this is actually, or I'm pulling this also from a real, person, didn't feel comfortable, being, 40, 50 pounds of overweight, didn't feel comfortable going to a gym, started doing one of the, exercise apps on VR, and there's some really cool ones. Okay. And, for the first time, and then, she met some other people there, and that, so they would meet like a couple of times a week to go, and, they do the boxing or the tennis or the, so on and so forth. And she's like, I never felt comfortable in a gym. She's like, because I would always feel self-conscious, everybody this and that. I felt like I didn't belong there, that people were judging me, because they all looked, fit and I didn't, so on and so forth. I never had a buddy to go to the gym with, she's like, I didn't, know people that were into this. And, so I always went there, kind of as the lone weirdo, like, She made friends there doing this, and they would meet every time, and, and has lost 30 pounds. And is like so happy, and is like living her freaking best life, and is like, and she was like, this is all because of VR. And she didn't even want to get into it. Her, boyfriend at the time was like, hey, why don't you just like try this and see if you like it? And I'm like, okay, maybe you won't and you don't, and it's over, but like maybe, you find it cool. So, it was nothing she would have even done without prompting. And was like, it's amazing, So yeah, I mean, I think it's all about intention.
Well, this is a treat, because I had no idea we'd be talking about VR, but I'm really glad we are, because
neither did I.
well, it's interesting, because it reminds me to be open-minded, because not starting to sound like an old man or something, like, oh, kids in this technology. It's like, but if you
get off my lawn.
Yeah. If you think about it, though, it's just the progression of from the phone to like FaceTiming to Zoom, like we're on now. So it gets us the next step. And you've really shifted my mind on it. Is you're making it connecting with people, as opposed to I'm just going to strap a VR headset on and just like I'm playing video games for 10 hours. It's a completely different. I look at it completely different when you put it like how you've put it. And it may not be for everybody, and everyone may not like it, but there may be some people, like the person you just described who lost weight, where it's brilliant for. So thank you for sharing that about that. Yeah, it really makes me view it, just at least have an open mind toward it, at least,
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, those are some of the things that, excite me about it. But there's a good, amount of like, and people that aren't exposed to things like this, I think a lot of times have like these preconceived notions, and there are probably people that don't realize that like there's a good niche, component of VR people that are moms like working out, you know, that are finally like, oh man, you know, like a gym always intimidated me and I never felt comfortable. And this I can kind of like do from the comfort of my own home, and it's an avatar and I don't feel like judged and weird. And oh my God, like for the first time, like I can like move my body and like, you know, and like, you know, feel the energy of like fitness and health, and you know, enjoy something that, you know, maybe they've always wanted to enjoy but always kind of felt like they couldn't. You know, and so, you know, for a lot of people VR is, you know, is, you know, is a release from limitations. I mean, think about, here's another use case, okay, real life use case. You know, a student who was in a wheelchair, and that wheelchair had always dictated, you know, the amount, the ways in which and the extent to which, you know, this person could interact with other students, right? You know, their peers, right? Other students. And then here, this person gets into VR and starts joining social experiences there, and their avatar isn't confined to a chair, and this person is dancing and jumping and playing in ways with, you know, peers that this person can't do in real life. And I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, that's pretty incredible when you put it like that. And when you say the VR, like, so when they're doing all this, they got the headset on, and then pretty much, do you see your avatar? Like when you're in, so you actually see your actual avatar. I've only done a little bit. I've done a little, some of the Oculus stuff, but it's probably not to the level of some of the stuff that you're talking about here.
Yeah, you gotta put on your Oculus, and we gotta meet in VR. Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to come into podcasting. I mean, I'm sure there'll be a way to podcast and record. I'm sure that's all coming.
Oh, for sure.
So that was it. Well, we got a little bit more time, and I feel like you're a person I can ask what I'm about to ask, just going out into left field.
Bring it on.
What do you think this life is? Do you think? Do you think? And I'll just throw a bunch of shit out there, and we'll just see what sticks. But like, you know, I have resonated a lot with. I mean, I try to read everything, but definitely a lot of like the Eastern philosophies and religions talk about this concept of reincarnation and past lives and coming here. And it's, do you think it's a one and done here, or are we just here for the whatever time until we figure it out? Or maybe we came here to learn one specific thing. Do you have any type of viewpoint on that?
Yeah, well, so I guess I think that there are different parts to us. I think, you know, we have a physical body temple. I think we have, you know, an emotional body. I think we have a spiritual body, you know, and so on and so forth. So I think it's kind of like a, you know, a gradation. And this, you know, physical body here on earth is, you know, a kind of is our spirit made manifest in space and time, you know. So this is kind of, you know, has it manifest, but I think that definitely, you know, that this, you know, vessel right here is not all there is to us. And I think that that you know, there is the spiritual, you know, part of us is eternal, whereas, you know, this you know, this human form is, you know, manifest in a certain time and space. You know, on this planet. I think that there is an eternal, you know, spirit, you know, to us. And so I think that that was, you know, here before, you know, this physical manifestation, and it'll be here after this physical manifestation. And I think that that spirit is, here in this physical manifestation, going back to what we said earlier, to be, a unique emanation, of creation. Sarah's, one unique emanation, of creation. Sam is another face. Sarah's another face, or another wave in the ocean, right? However you want to say it. So that's kind of, and I can, I mean, we can, go on and on. We can have a whole, podcast on just
Right.
that. But if I was to, kind of, make it into simple terms, that I would say that, and I would say, that spiritual component to us was here before this physical manifestation was birthed, and will be here after, this physical manifestation has transitioned off of, this earth. And that when you get, down to it, that, my belief is oneness, is that, we are all just, many waves of the same ocean, however you want to say it, many rays of the same sun, so on and so forth. But we are definitely all connected. But we are all, we all bring something unique at the same time to this experience.
I dig that. And we were talking a little in the pre-show room. Do you think we come to this earth to learn specific lessons and we know that beforehand? Or do you think we just so happen to come here and learn lessons and take those with us? That's kind of been a common theme I've been talking with some people about,
Yeah. So,
Go ahead.
I think, I do kind of think that I see it very likely that, in a certain lifetime, we may be more here to, focus on, a certain thing, and to really, master and learn a certain thing, and then we're ready to kind of move on. So in that way, I think, Earth can be kind of like a school, right? And your spirit is really here to kind of like, grasp certain things. And if you're a little hard-headed like me, it may take you a little longer. But I think, that makes sense to me. When you're talking about an internal soul, time really doesn't have the same meaning, that it has to us, humans, when we're so used to, considering time in a certain way, right? So, I think when you're talking about a certain, internal spirit, they may be like, oh yeah, I'll go here for a lifetime and kind of like, figure some shit out, on this and that. And, and it doesn't seem, like such a big deal because you're beyond time and space, you're eternal, and then when you kind of like drop in here and, you're kind of in this configuration and you're used to thinking about time and space being so literal and stuff, that it may be different. You may be like, oh, I'm supposed to, learn this and this, and, this is why I'm here and blah, 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 blah. But like, yeah, I think when you kind of like take that step back, and, and you're kind of just like, yeah, you're here to like, figure some shit out. And then like, it doesn't have to be like that serious. And like, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be intentional, right? Because like I said, I'm very about being intentional and, and about being aware to, where I put my intention and where I put my focus. But like, at the same time, like, yeah, it's life isn't also supposed to, I think, be a to-do list, that you're supposed to like check off, like, okay, got this, got this, um yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. Real quick, reminds me of a Ram Dass story. Like Ram Dass said he had gotten to this point of like quote unquote enlightenment or consciousness, and he was talking to a buddy. He's like, "Yeah, I mean, what do I do from here? Like, I kind of just see everything for what it is. Like, it just going to meditate." And his buddy said to him, he's like, "Well, you are a human being on this earth. Why don't you try taking the curriculum?" And it's just a reminder to me too, and not to make like check off lists and stuff like that, but like it's okay. Like there really is no pressure sometimes. Like I think we put too much pressure, like you got to do this and do that. Like maybe part of it's just to be, part of it's just to experience. There's no test you need to take. Like it's just, you just go through it,
Yeah, human being, right? You're supposed to be. And and I think that part of this, like, really like human manifestation is, it's a feeling planet, right? We don't communicate by telepathy, fully, like like we are physical manifestations, right? Like that's how like earth works, right? If you're gonna compare it to other incarnations we may have had, our soul, or on other planets, so on and so forth. Like what makes earth unique, right, is that we have thoughts and we manifest those into 3D, into physical manifestation. So, we have things like emotions and feelings, and, that's part of this whole, human condition, right? And this whole human experience. And, a huge part of this human experience is connection, right? Humans are not made to be, the one-on-one. So as much as I was saying earlier that, we shouldn't, we should, not rely on external guidance and, look within, to see, at the same, for guidance and for what's right for us, and to learn to develop and nurture, our intuition and so on and so forth. But at the same time, like, part of this, unique human experience that we're all here for is that we're interconnected and we need connection. Like we will literally, like, there have been scientific studies done on this with babies and stuff. Like, if they're not held every day, if they're not, like, they will wither and die through no physical, through no physical ailment. They just won't survive. Part of this human existence is connection. And so so part of this is just to have the courage to drop into our heart and to feel, and to have the courage to like connect with other humans, and to and to the best of our ability, love one another and be there for them, as they are for us. And maybe that's the biggest lesson we get on this planet, is freaking connection. And hey, being this, so.
Mic drop. Yeah. No, I really agree. And I'll before we close out here, I think he'll probably come on the podcast soon. He told me a long time ago, buddy, we were talking about like incarnations and getting to enlightenment and all this. And he goes, man, he's like, becoming a beam of light doesn't really appeal to me. He's like, I kind of like being a human, but maybe when you're a beam of light, it's way better. I don't know, but our consciousness, I don't know. It's like, I feel like there's this concept too of people, like, say when you're first born, you can remember everything. Like, where you came from. And it kind of makes sense when I started to think about it. Where you came from, why you came here, but you're a baby, so you can't talk. And what happens is you start getting conditioned by the world. And by the time you can talk, it's all you're not conscious of it anymore, and now you're into this new existence. And then maybe when you leave this place, maybe that all comes back, like you're like, oh crap, oh yeah. It's like waking up from a dream almost.
Yeah, no, I've heard that a lot, that, part of, the human condition is we're all amnesiacs, right? And we have this kind of amnesia as to, our source and where we came from. And, and part of our journey is to remember, that it's not even to, talk about spirituality, and what we're saying about being, right? That there's nothing we need to learn. There's no goal we're trying to reach, that all we're trying to do is release everything that has gotten in the way of what we were to begin with, which was, as we were born, we had everything, and everything, and really enlightenment is a process of unlearning and not learning anything, right? Just shedding all of these filters that are clouding, our vision. Kind of like we're the windshield, on a winter's day of a car, and we're just, and really all enlightenment is wiping away, all of the, frost, so that we can actually see clearly again. Yeah.
It's a blizzard out there. The world is a blizzard. Wow. Well, Sara, this has been a phenomenal I'm sure we could talk for 10 hours on these topics. Thank you so much for coming on. And before I give you the last word, if people wanted to connect with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Oh, yeah, I would, so my current, adventure is Pixel House, Pixlhaus, and you can find that on Twitter, and you can find that on IG. You can find that on the gram, or you can find it on pixelhouse.com. So, you can go ahead and hit me there. I think will probably be the best, or Abundant Stories on Instagram. Yeah.
Great. And I always give the guest the last word. It can be as deep or as shallow as you want. You've already left us with so many deep things to think about. It can be a movie, a philosophy, something that's been on your mind, a concept, a question, absolutely anything to leave us with.
Okay. I guess I'll just leave us with this. Take care of one another.
Brilliantly said. Well, Sara, thank you so much for this. It's been a treat to catch up and to talk with you, and to bring social media to at least this dimension, the Zoom dimension.
Yes.
Maybe I'll see you in VR soon. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate everything you talked about. And just stick around for a quick second after I stop the recording. But okay. Sara, thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, my pleasure. And, we connected a long time ago, and, we're still, resonating, and I know that it is going to continue. And, so we're always going to be good friends.
Yeah. I'll say one last thing. It's like, I feel like a lot of us, like we've connected, or we sat on the same train car at one point in time, but maybe we moved different train cars, but we're still all going, and then, oh yeah,
for sure.
I've been in this aisle with you before. Like, what's up? Like, how's your journey been? Oh, I've been on this journey.
Like, I don't know what you've been up to or this or that, but when I see Sam come through, whether it's on a feed or a message or everything, I'm like, oh, it just, it always just feels like home. It's that feeling, always.
Keep posting those spiritual beings, because they're gold.
It's what I do.
What you do. All right, Sara, take care, and talk to you again soon.
Yep.